Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Waldo and this is Wanda, my 2005 Land Rover LR3, also called the Discovery 3 in most other parts of the world. I'd also like to introduce you to Aspen, my supervisor. Now, Wanda has a rough idle, which gets worse as the engine warms up. In this video, we're going to take care of the rough idle, and we're also going to take care of some other regular maintenance items. In my last video, I mentioned my plans to possibly do a diesel swap on this, and you guys gave some really good ideas for what engines I should consider using. Currently at the top of my list is the Mercedes OM648. It's a 3.2 liter straight six engine that makes 201 horsepower and 370 foot-pounds of torque. It can be tuned for more power, and it shouldn't be too hard to source one here in the States. In the meantime, I'd like to get this gas V8 running well so that I can drive this vehicle while I'm finishing up the GMC Come & Swap project that I'm currently working on. Alright, so let's start this thing up. And it runs fine while it's at its high idle. Although when it goes down to its low idle, you'll see that it does start to run rough from there. And there it is. As it comes down from the high idle, it starts to oscillate. The RPM goes up and down. As the engine warms up, it actually gets even worse. Now if I step on the gas, bring the idle up, and then let off the gas, you'll see that it'll probably almost stall. I think the issue is right under this cover. Let's take a look. So this is the throttle body right here, and its job is to allow air into the engine. Now when the throttle body is dirty, it doesn't function very well, especially when the throttle is closed, or nearly closed, at idle. And I think the reason why it gets dirty is because this tube right here is the crankcase breather, and gases come up here and into the intake before the throttle body, and this deposits oil and crap from the crankcase right in here, which then makes its way into the throttle body. You could consider it perhaps a minor design flaw, although it's actually not that big of a deal because it is pretty easy to remove this and clean it. And while I'm in here, I'm also going to replace the air filter, which is under this cover. So I'm going to take this whole assembly apart. Air filter's not too bad, but it is pretty dirty, so I'm glad I'm replacing it. Nice new Wix filter. Yeah, so the throttle body is not nearly as dirty as I was expecting. It actually looks fairly clean in there. There's a little bit of gunk, so I will wipe it down with some solvent and see if I can clean it out. But now I'm not sure if this is the issue. I am a fan of using paint thinner as a solvent because it doesn't evaporate too quickly and it is very effective. Quite a bit of gunk in there. Well, with this thing cleaned up, I'm going to throw this back together and we'll start it up and see if that fixed the issue. Still running fine at high idle. Would you look at that? It dropped down and it is running steady as an ox. I am really surprised that that made such a big difference. Problem solved. Yeah, so I read on the interwebs that apparently you're supposed to periodically change these things. Spark plugs? Spark plugs. I think that's what it is. Apparently, this engine doesn't produce enough compression to ignite the fuel on its own, so they need these things to help out. Sounds like a pretty major design flaw to me. Here we go. With all those new plugs installed, let's start it up and make sure it still runs. You may have noticed how the dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. That is something I'll probably be addressing in the next video. Yeah, it seems to be running pretty well so far. I guess we'll wait until it goes down to a low idle and see how it does there. Yeah, looks good. Perfect. I was just loading some pieces of trim into the back here, and it reminded me of how bad this hatch is. It doesn't like to stay up on its own, so let's just get these struts replaced. Yeah, so these are the new ones. They were pretty inexpensive and made in USA. So it should be pretty easy to change. It looks like it's got a little clip on the back here. Probably pry it off with a screwdriver. Comes right off. I don't think my helper was expecting the extra weight there. And then this side, actually it's the same thing. It's got a little clip on it. Oh, it just kind of moves up maybe. There it is, nice. I think they just snap on. Yeah, really, ooh, really easy to install. They pop on. There it is. Does it hold itself up? It does. Nice. I wanted to do an oil change, but the vehicle is so low to the ground right now that I think I'll wait until after I fix the air suspension, because afterwards it will be a lot easier with the vehicle higher off the ground. As for the suspension, I did a little bit of diagnosing with my NanoCom scan tool, and it's obvious that the ride height ECU is having some electrical issues that's preventing it from even trying to raise the suspension. I think all the errors on the instrument cluster are related, because there seems to be an electrical issue preventing all the various modules from communicating with each other. Fixing this is my task for the next video in this series. Thank you so much to everyone who voted for a name for this vehicle. I chose 4 of the most popular names from the comment section of the last video, and then Wanda ended up winning with 55% of the vote. Also, keep an eye out for the next video on the GMC Come and Swap. I'm trying to get it started for the first time, so that should be really exciting. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along with the projects. Speak! Good girl! Good girl! Alright, let's try that one more time, puppy. Aspen, speak! You do a better one than that. Aspen, speak! Aspen, speak! Good girl! Good girl! Here you go, puppy. Good girl.